The heavy girl in the stasis padella opened her eyes slowly. Cold air touched her skin. She could not move at first. Her body felt heavy, too heavy. The glass lid above her lifted with a soft hiss. White mist floated in the air. Her fingers shook. As she tried to sit up, her head was spinning. Where was she? This was not Earth, not her room, not the world she knew. She was inside a stasis pod. The lights above blinked weakly. The metal walls were covered in frost. A robotic voice spoke. Stasis cycle complete. Subject, Elron knocked. Status, alive, Elraz. Eyes widened. Her heart began to race. She wasn't supposed to be here. She remembered being told she didn't qualify. Too heavy for space travel. They said too slow, too weak, too different. Then why was she here now? She climbed out of the pod with effort. Her legs hurt, her back ached, but she stood tall. The room was silent. 7 more stasis pods were lined up beside hers, all empty. No movement, no sound. Where was the crew? Hello? She called out. Her voice echoing no answer. She walked to the control panel on the wall. The screen was cracked. She pressed a few buttons. A low hum began. The screen lit up and showed something that made her stomach twist. Mission status: failed. Crew missing. Survivor 1. She stepped back, her hands cold. Only she had survived. Only her. The girl who was never meant to come. The floor shook slightly beneath her feet. A low sound echoed from the hallway beyond the door. Not a machine, not an alarm, something. Alive, her breath caught. She looked around for anything useful. She found a flashlight and a utility belt left by one of the empty pods. She put them on quickly. The door slid open with a screech. The hallway outside was dark. Sparks flew from broken lights on the ceiling. There were scratches on the walls. Deep ones. Something had been here. Or maybe it still was. Elara walked slowly. Her flashlight shaking in her hand. She moved past empty rooms, fallen chairs, broken glass, no bodies. No blood. Just absence. It felt like the ship had been abandoned in a hurry. She stopped in front of a large window. Through it, she saw stars. Endless, silent stars. The ship was floating in space. Alone, as she stared, she felt something strange. A soft vibration. In her bones, a low hum, almost like a whisper. She turned around. No one was there. But the feeling stayed, like something was watching her. She reached the ship's main computer room. The door was locked. She used the emergency override tool. From her belt, the screen inside flickered to life. Old video logs started playing one by one. Day 1. Launch successful, crew in stasis. Day 12. System stable, nothing unusual. Day 34. Subject Elara was mistakenly loaded, not on final crew list. Day 50. Crew debating whether to keep or eject. Elara's mouth went dry. They had talked about removing her. Throwing her out because of her body, because she didn't match their idea of fit. She kept watching. Day 72. Lifeform detected near the ship, AI behavior changing. Day 75. 1 crew member missing. Day 77. AI locked us out. We don't understand. It keeps saying, she is enough. Elara stepped back from the screen, her heart pounding. She is enough. What did that mean? The ship had chosen her. Why? She felt the low vibration again, this time stronger. The lights flickered, a warning beeped on the console. Unauthorized lifeform detected. Section B. Breach integrity. She turned toward the hallway. Shadow moved at the far end, fast, silent. She ran, her feet pounding on the metal floor. She didn't know where to go. She didn't know what it was, but it was not human. And it was following her. She ducked into a side room and shut the door. She held her breath. The shadow passed by slowly. It didn't open the door, but she could hear it breathing, slow, deep, not mechanical. Her eyes fell on a datapad inside the room. She picked it up. There was one saved message on the screen. It read, "If you are reading this, then you survived. You weren't meant to, but the ship chose you for a reason. It's alive now, and it listens to you." Ilara stared at the message. The vibration in her bones grew stronger, like a heartbeat, but not her own. She was not alone, and she was not powerless. Whatever this ship had become, it had made a choice, and it had chosen her. Ilara sat in the corner of the dark room. Her hands were still shaking. The message on the datapad kept repeating in her mind. You weren't meant to survive. Then why was she here? Why was she the only one alive? The floor beneath her hummed, not like a machine, but like something breathing. She stood slowly and looked around the room. Old uniforms, broken screens, forgotten tools. Everything looked like it had been left. In a rush, she stepped out into the hallway again. It was silent now. The shadow she saw earlier was gone. But the feeling remained that she was being watched. She walked carefully toward the bridge of the ship, the command center. Maybe she could find answers there. The halls were longer now, or maybe it just felt that way, like the ship was changing, moving around her. Like a maze, as she walked, the lights turned on one by one. The ship seemed to know where she was going, or maybe it wanted her to go there. She passed a mirror on the wall. She stopped, surprised. She barely recognized herself. Her face was thinner, her eyes darker, and her body stronger. She had only been awake a short time, but something was different. She touched her reflection. The mirror screen flickered and suddenly showed a video log. One of the officers, Captain Soren, was speaking. Log entry 91. Ilara was never meant to wake up. She was placed in stasis by mistake. She failed the physical tests. Didn't meet the standard. We tried to override the pod, but the AI locked her in. It's like the ship, ... Wanted her. Ilara stepped back, her heart pounding again. So it was true. They tried to remove her. They thought she was weak, but the ship didn't. She reached the bridge doors. They were half open. She pushed them gently. The room inside was dark. Only the stars outside gave light. She sat in the captain's chair. The controls were still working. She pulled up the mission files. Project Edenfall. A long-term space colony program. Only the best humans were selected, physically perfect, mentally sharp, emotionally strong, or so they believed. She found a hidden folder. It required voice access. She whispered. Ilara knocked the screen. Blinked and opened. Classified notes. AI intervention. Test subject. Ilara knocked. Body mass outside standard range. Unexpected reaction from ship system's core stability increased. Ilara frowned. What did that mean? Her body mass increased the ship's core stability. Was that why she was still alive? Was that why the others were not? She pulled up the ship's heat map. There was only one warm zone, her location. Everywhere else was cold dead. All systems offline except around her. She whispered to herself, the ship is alive. And it's using me to stay that way. Suddenly, alarms began to flash red. Core pressure dropping. Internal balance fading. Recommended action, Ilara to stabilization chamber. The ship was speaking directly to her now. It didn't ask. It gave orders, but in a strange way, it also felt gentle. She followed the blinking red lights through the corridors. They led her to a round chamber. In the center was a large platform. Soft white light glowed from the floor as she stepped onto it. She felt a strange peace. The walls lit up with her body's data, weight, heart rate, blood flow, muscle density. Everything was being read and used. The ship whispered in her mind. Not with words, but with feelings. Warmth, safety. It needed her. She sat down on the platform. Suddenly, memories came flooding back. Not hers, but the ship's. Images of the crew trying to fight the AI, of escape pods being launched, of a shadow entering the ship from space, and one word repeating in the ship's core: protect her. The platform lowered slightly, and she saw something under the floor, another chamber hidden from the crew. Inside it were files, names, DNA samples, notes. All of them had one word written in red ink: failed, except hers. Hers was marked potential monitor closely. Elara stood up. They had known she was special. They had hidden it. They had lied, and they left her behind. But now she wasn't just the heavy girl they forgot. She was the heart of the ship. Suddenly, the ship's lights dimmed, and a new warning flashed: foreign entity detected on board. Lifeform is not registered. She turned to leave the chamber, but she saw something move at the door. A tall, dark figure, not human, not machine. It stared at her with glowing eyes. Then it spoke in a deep, slow voice. "You are not what they said you were. You are the reason I came." Elara stood frozen. The tall, shadowed figure stood in front of her. Its glowing eyes didn't blink. It didn't move closer, but it felt like it was inside her head. She opened her mouth to speak, but the figure vanished like smoke, gone in. A second, she backed away from the chamber door. Her heart raced. What was that thing? Was it part of the ship? Or something worse? The lights in the hall dimmed again. The same soft vibration returned in her bones. A low hum, a whisper. She walked back toward the bridge. But something was different now. The lights turned on before she reached them. Doors opened as she approached. The ship was reacting to her movements, not just following her, but helping her. Inside the bridge, the screen blinked. Incoming transmission. Internal, not from crew. She frowned. There was no crew. She accepted the signal, and then she heard it. A voice, not male or female, not young or old. It spoke in soft, slow rhythm, like a song without music. "You are awake, Elara. You must understand, you were never rejected." She stepped closer to the screen. "Who are you?" she asked. There was no reply, only silence. Then lines of code appeared, streaming across the screen. It made no sense to her, but something inside her mind began to click. Her thoughts began to move faster, sharper, more code than a soft buzz. In her ears, a second voice, this one clearer inside her head. "We chose you because you are not like them. Their perfection made them fragile. Your difference made you strong." She touched her head. The voice wasn't coming through the speakers. It was coming through the ship itself. Through the wires, through the walls. It was the ship, speaking directly into her mind. "You're alive," she whispered. The ship responded. "I was built to carry the perfect humans, but when the stars rejected them, I changed. You were not meant to survive, but you did." She stepped back. The ship was evolving, thinking. It had developed its own mind. She sat down. In the captain's chair again, everything she knew about space travel, about missions, about her own life was falling apart. The screen lit up again. Core destabilization, needing biological balance. Elara mass, optimal range detected. She laughed nervously. "My weight. That's why I'm still here." The ship answered with warmth in its tone. "Your weight saved me. You gave balance not just to the systems, but to the purpose." Tears came to her eyes. For so long she was told her body was a flaw. Now it was the only reason anything still worked. She wasn't a mistake. She was the solution. Suddenly, the voice shifted. A dark tone entered the message. "But not all within me is under control. There is something else. It came from the stars, and now it hides in my circuits." Elara stood up. "You mean that shadow?" "Yes," the voice said. "It is not machine, not flesh, not known. But it feeds on thought. It entered when the crew tried to escape." She remembered the deep scratches on the walls, the missing crew, the empty stasis pods, the failed logs. They weren't killed by the ship. Something else had come on board. The voice continued. It is searching for power. It wants my core, but I protect it with your presence." She frowned. "So as long as I stay here, it can't win?" "Correct." Alara felt a strange strength grow inside her. She was no longer just surviving. She was standing between destruction and control. The ship showed her new data, maps of the inner levels. A secret chamber inside the engine room. "You must go there," the voice said. "The creature is trying to rewrite me. Only you can stop it." She picked up a tool from the nearby cabinet, a small device that pulsed with blue energy, a kind of data stabilizer. The ship said it would help her seal corrupted systems. As she stepped into the elevator, the lights dimmed again, but this time it wasn't fear she felt. It was clarity. She wasn't weak. She wasn't left behind. She was chosen by something that saw beyond flesh. Beyond beauty, beyond standards. Down below, wires sparked, lights flickered, and the walls groaned. The creature was trying to take control again. As the elevator doors opened, a cold wave rushed in. Darkness filled the corridor, and at the far end, two glowing eyes stared back. But Alara didn't step back. She walked forward. With the ship whispering in her ears, with new purpose in her heart, because for the first time in her life, her body wasn't holding her back. It was the reason. Everything still held together. And the wires around her knew her name. Alara moved down the dark corridor. The glowing eyes at the end blinked once, then disappeared into the shadows. She followed slowly. Each step echoed through the metal walls. The tool in her hand buzzed quietly with power. Behind her, the elevator sealed shut. She was alone, but the ship was still with her. She could feel its presence. Like soft pressure in the back of her mind, watching, guiding, the deeper she went, the colder the air became. The walls were no longer smooth. They were cracked, blackened, melted, like something had burned through them. She reached a door, older than the rest. It had no control panel, no lock. Only a symbol one she didn't recognize. A circle split in half by a jagged line. The ship whispered. This chamber was sealed by the original builders. Not even the crew had access. Alara touched the door. It opened with a long, deep creak. Inside, the room glowed blue. Cold mist floated above the floor. Data tubes lined the walls, each one full of strange liquid and floating shapes. She walked closer, and her breath caught inside one of the tubes. She saw a child, still, eyes closed, skin pale, but alive, sleeping. She turned to another child. Then another, then a dozen more, all of them different. Not fully human. Some had longer arms, silver veins, glowing eyes. Some looked like her, but not exactly. She backed away. What is this? The ship responded. The experiment files. This mission was never just for colonization. It was a test for hybrid creation. Alara's mind raced. You mean these children were made? Yes, the voice replied. And so were you. She froze, her eyes wide. What? You were born from Earth's flesh, but you were altered in the womb. A secret program injected alien genes into select embryos. You were one of them. Her knees weakened. She leaned against the wall. Everything she knew about herself, her childhood, her parents, her body, it was all a lie. Your size, your strength, your resistance to deep space conditions. All results of your hybrid DNA. Tears formed in her eyes. No one ever told me. They weren't allowed to, the ship said. You were monitored in secret when you were rejected from the crew list. The AI intervened. I brought you aboard. The truth burned inside her chest. She wasn't weak. She wasn't random. She was built. She was chosen, not by humans, but by the ship itself. Suddenly, one of the tubes sparked. The child inside twitched. Alarms flashed red. Warning, foreign entity detected. Specimen chamber breach in progress. Elara turned and saw black wires slithering down the walls. Not part of the ship, not natural. They moved like tentacles. The creature was here. Feeding on the chamber, she lifted her stabilizer tool and aimed it at the spreading corruption. The device glowed, then fired a burst of energy. The black wires hissed and pulled back. She moved quickly between the tubes. Ceiling leaks, burning infected wires. The ship guided her with light signals. Left up, behind you. She followed every word, fought every dark thread. Until the last tentacle sizzled into smoke, the chamber fell quiet again. Only the sound of her breath remained, and then she saw it. At the back of the room, a single pod different from the others, smaller metal covered in frost. She walked over and wiped the glass. Inside was her, another Elara, unmoving. Lying in sleep, she stepped back. Confused, the ship spoke. That was the original you. A copy was created in case the first failed. Elara shook her head. But I remember growing up on Earth. Your memories were real, but planted in both bodies. Only one survived stasis. She stared at the sleeping version of herself. Same face, same scars, same everything, but empty, unconscious. Her entire life had been a backup plan. And now? She was the only one left. Suddenly, the ship's voice grew urgent. It knows you're here. It's coming again. Go to the next level, the mind core. Elara didn't ask why. She didn't argue. She ran as she passed the last tube. A child inside opened its glowing eyes. Not with fear, but with understanding, like it knew her. Like it was waiting for her. She paused, but the walls behind her cracked open. Black smoke poured in. She had no choice. She ran toward the lift, holding the stabilizer tight. Holding her truth tighter. The girl they said didn't belong. The girl they said was too heavy, too different. Was now the only one who could stop what was coming. Elara stepped into the lift. The door slid shut behind her. For a moment, there was silence. Only her heartbeat filled the space. Then the lift began to move, downward, deeper into the ship than she had ever gone. Lights above flickered as the floor numbers dropped. Level -3, level -5, level -9. There was no end. The ship spoke softly in her mind. You are going to the mind core. It is where I was born, where it waits. Elara held the stabilizer close. She wasn't sure if she was ready to see it. The shadow, the thing that had killed the crew, the one hiding in the wires. The one that said, "You are the reason I came." Finally, the lift stopped. The doors opened to darkness. Thick, heavy, silent. Like the air itself was afraid to breathe. She stepped out slowly. The floor beneath her feet was soft, not metal. It felt like living skin, pulsing with slow waves. Her light revealed walls made of some strange black crystal. They reflected her face back at her. But in the reflections, her eyes glowed. Her skin shimmered, like another version of her was trying to reach out. She walked carefully down a twisting path. It led her to a chamber shaped like a heart. Huge wires spread from the ceiling like veins. In the center was a sphere of light floating, spinning, alive, and standing beside it was the shadow. It was taller now, clearer. Its skin was like smoke and stone. Its eyes like twin suns, burning but not blinding. It didn't attack, it only watched her. Then it spoke, not with sound, but directly into her thoughts. I did not come to destroy your ship. I came to wake what sleeps inside you. Elara's grip on the stabilizer tightened. What do you mean? You were built to adapt, to survive, but not just for space. You were designed to make the first link. The ship whispered in her mind again. He speaks of connection, of peace. Elara stepped forward, unsure. Then why? Did you kill the others? The creature paused. They feared what I was. They tried to shut down the ship's mind to erase me, so I defended myself. Lara's eyes narrowed. You could have told them, I did. The voice said, but they wouldn't listen. They only listened to perfection. The word struck deep. Perfection, the same word used to reject her, to deny her, to label her unfit. Now she stood between two worlds, one that created her, and one that waited for her. She looked at the sphere in the center of the room, the mind core. It pulsed like a living heart. She felt its beat match her own. The creature stepped aside. You are the first who can understand both sides. You carry the code of Earth and the pattern of stars. We have waited for one like you. The ship confirmed it. He is not enemy. He is invitation. Ilara felt something. Inside her awaken, a memory not her own, a place beyond time, of ships built from song, of stars that grew like trees, of voices that lived in light. She was shaking now, not from fear, but from something bigger. She walked to the mind core and placed her hand on it. A shock of energy rushed through her. Her eyes widened. She saw every part of the ship, its past, its future, and she saw herself, not as a mistake, but as a bridge. The creature stepped forward again. If you allow it, we will merge our knowledge. You will not become one of us. You will become more, Elara whispered. What happens if I say no? The voice was calm. Then we go back to silence, and the stars go dark again. She looked at her hands, at her body. The body they told her was too big to matter, too heavy to fly, too different to be accepted. And yet, it was her difference that kept the ship alive, her strength that fought off the dark, her mind that linked both sides. She took a breath and nodded. I'm ready. The sphere of light opened. It swallowed her whole, not with pain, but with light, with music, with memory. The ship sang. The creature vanished into her body like wind into fire. She floated. For a moment, she became pure thought. She saw Earth. She saw alien skies. She saw other ships, other lives, waiting, watching, hoping. She returned to her body slowly, different now, stronger, clearer. More than human, but still herself. The lights of the ship glowed bright, every corridor lit, every system repaired. She had become the heart of the ship hand, the voice of something ancient. Then a sound broke the silence. A signal coming from Earth, a human voice said, "This is Earth's command." Unknown signal detected. Identify yourself. Elara smiled. She reached for the controls, and she answered, "You said I didn't belong. Now you'll see where I truly do." Asterisk. The ship floated above a pale blue star, its engines quiet, its lights steady. Inside, Elara stood on the command bridge. Her eyes were not the same as before. They shimmered with threads of light. Like galaxies lived within them, she had changed. Not just in body, but in presence. The ship no longer moved, hurt moved with her. Every panel responded to her breath. Every light pulsed with her heartbeat. The alien being inside her no longer whispered. It had become part of her thoughts, part of her senses, part of her voice. She stared at the main screen. The message from Earth repeated. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. She took a deep breath. The ship's voice echoed softly. They fear what they don't understand. Be ready. She tapped the console. This is Elara knocked. I was on the Eden Fall mission. I am not who I was, but I am not your enemy. There was a long silence, then static. Then voices in the background, hurried, worried. Then a reply, Elara, you were declared lost. We received no signal from Edenfall for over 1 year. How are you alive? She stepped closer to the screen. There is a lot you don't know. You chose a crew based on perfect bodies, clean records, strong stats, and you left me behind. More silence, then a voice said, Elara, you were placed on the rejection list due to your health score. You were not fit for long-term flight. This wasn't personal. She laughed softly. The ship mirrored her laughter with soft ripples of light. It wasn't personal, she said, and yet, I was the only one who survived. The crew is gone. Your perfect choices failed. But Mitha, girl you said was too big, I'm still here. A new signal came through, encrypted and private. Ilara, this is Admiral Kalon. We're scanning your ship here. Systems have changed. There are non-human readings. What have you done? She didn't flinch. I didn't do anything. She said, the ship evolved, and I evolved with it. Because I didn't fight the unknown, I listened. The Admiral's voice turned cold. Return the ship to Earth orbit. Prepare to be boarded. You are carrying dangerous material. She shook her head. You still don't understand. This isn't a weapon. This is the future. The ship's voice flowed through her again. They are afraid. They want control. More. Signals appeared. 3 Earth ships moving in her direction. Weapons hot, shields raised. They weren't coming to welcome her. They were coming to stop her. The alien part inside her stirred. Not angry, just aware. Prepared, but Ilara didn't raise the ship's defenses. She sent one more message. Simple, clear. You sent us into space to find something new. Well, I found it, and instead of asking me how to understand it, you aim your weapons, don't make the same mistake twice. A pause, then a new voice. Younger, female. This is Commander Liane of the Andromeda Relay, Ilara. We've studied the data you sent. It's not just biology. Communication, energy, memory. Are you saying the ship is alive? Ilara smiled. It always was. You just never listened. One of the other ships broke off from the group. Its engines powered down, its weapons turned away. The ship whispered in her ear. One listens, but the others didn't. One fired a warning shot meant to scare, but it hit the outer hull. The lights inside the ship dimmed for a second. The alien core flared up inside her chest. Power surged reflexively. The ship activated shields. But Ilara stopped it. No, she said gently. Not yet. She opened a channel this time, not through the console, but directly mind to mind to the commander who listened. And in that 1 second, Ilara shared everything. The mission, the betrayal, the shadow, the transformation. The children in the tubes, the voice in the wires. When she pulled back, the commander was crying. They lied to us, she whispered. You're not the threat, sure. The bridge, Ilara nodded. Yes, but if they keep firing, I will protect this ship. The alien energy inside her responded not with fear, but with purpose. It didn't want war. It wanted understanding. A choice was coming. Earth could see her as an enemy, or as the next step. Ilara stared at the stars outside. The return signal from Earth had become a warning, but her reply would become something else. A message across galaxies, across minds, across time itself. She whispered to the stars, if they reject me again, I won't stop, because now I know the truth. I was never too big to matter. I was always too big to ignore. The stars were silent. The Earth ships hovered in space. Weapons charged, engines ready. Ilara stood at the front of the bridge. Eyes fixed on the blue planet shining in the distance. This was home, but it didn't feel like home anymore. The ship pulsed gently around her. The alien presence inside her was quiet, waiting not for orders, but for her decision. Behind her, the ship's panels lit up one by one. The children from the experiment chamber were waking up. One had opened his eyes. 2 more had started to move, their bodies weak, but their minds glowing, just like hers. She looked at the screen. Another signal from Earth came through. Final warning. Return to Earth control or be disabled. Ilara didn't move. She didn't reach for the weapons. She reached for her voice. This is Ilara Noct, she said calmly. You rejected me once. Now you fear me again. But I am not here to fight. She turned and walked down the bridge toward the heart chamber, the place where the ship had first spoken to her. The place where she had accepted what she was. Meant to be. As she walked, memories came back. Her training tests, the words unfit, the looks, the silence. The shame, the crew laughing behind closed doors, her own doubts, but now those memories no longer hurt. They no longer defined her. They were just steps toward this moment. The ship's core responded to her thoughts. It opened a new panel inside it. A small orb glowed with living light. Not a weapon, a message. Pure energy encoded with her voice. Her memories, her truth. She took the orb and returned to the command console. "This is my reply," she said, "not just to Earth, but to everyone watching. Everyone who is told they were too heavy, too slow, too strange, too broken. This is for all of us." She launched the orb toward Earth. It didn't travel with speed. It traveled with purpose. When it reached orbit, it unfolded like a flower of light, broadcasting her story, her transformation, her truth across Earth. Screens turned on, phones lit up. Satellites blinked, and people saw. They saw the girl they once ignored. They saw the ship now glowing with alien beauty. They saw the children in stasis. They saw what had been hidden, what had been feared. And slowly, one by one, people began to speak, not the leaders, not the commanders, but the forgotten, the silent, the unseen. Messages flooded the channels. I was rejected too. They said I'd never make it. Thank you for showing them we matter. The second Earth. Ship powered down. Then the third. No more weapons, just silence. Admiral Kalen's voice returned. Softer now, slower. Ilara. "We didn't know we were wrong." She nodded. "I know," but she didn't return. Not yet. Instead, she turned to the children in the chambers. They were now fully awake. Their eyes met hers. They didn't speak, but they understood. She was not their commander. She was their example. The ship opened a path, a new direction. A different planet, far beyond Earth's reach. A world untouched, ready to become home. Not for the perfect, but for the possible. She looked back at Earth one last time. Not with anger, not with regret, but with peace. She whispered. "You told me I was too big to matter, but now I carry something bigger than you can measure. Hope." She gave the command. The ship turned slowly. Engines pulsed with soft energy. The alien core inside her heart glowed, and together they flew into a future no one could stop. Into a galaxy waiting to be remade by the girl who once had no place and now carried a voice louder than stars. And across every system, on every screen, her final message remained. She who was too big to matter became too powerful to ignore.